Hello and welcome to another episode of the Same Old Arsenal. We're doing another Pots preview and I have 4 guests with me tonight. Unfortunately, Newcastle fan Tony could not join me. Unfortunately, he's been held up at work. So I have managed to get 4 massive Arsenal fans on me. Joining me this evening is Mr. Guns and Yellow Ribbons himself, a great friend of mine, Mr. Fergus Keaton. Fergus, how are you, mate?
Very well, thanks. Less of the massive. I'm on a diet.
Mate, it's going well. It is going well. It's that beer that doesn't do it for you, mate.
Yeah, I've got one here, mate. I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
good man. Good
yeah,
man.
I'm doing well, thanks, mate. Doing well. Looking forward to this. Thanks for inviting.
Same. Thanks for coming on, mate. Thanks for coming on. And all the way over from Amsterdam, first time on here is a Mr. James Rowe. James, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Do appreciate you coming on and sharing your opinions. I'm really looking forward to having you on, mate.
Yeah, looking forward to it. You're more than welcome.
Good man. And my colleague from Same Old Arsenal, second to last, is Mr. Lee Judges. How are you, mate?
I'm all good, thank you very much, Dan. And just to say that it's not late because someone said already in the chat, I don't know where Nigel is, but like saying it's because Lee's doing his hair. He's out of order, right? It's not on, right? And I'm not having this abuse much longer. I'll tell you that, you know. So
you're very playful tonight, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, you like this, mate. Look, you like that though, Lee. Look, because Alex says there is only one Lee Judges.
Good old Alex. So he loves me, Alex. Like, you know what I mean?
He does like you, mate. He does like you. And last but not least, he's back. It is Claude. How are you, mate?
Evening, everyone. I hope you're all well.
Very well, thank you, mate. Very well indeed. Listen, boys, all of our boys have been out in Dubai, and what we want to see now is them come back refreshed. Fergus, we'll start with you. They've been out in Dubai. There looks like a lot of team bonding. Are we expecting to see a different Arsenal after this lovely little warm weather break?
I'm hoping so. And it depends if Ozil is dropped, if I'm honest. Because straight in there, we went up to Burnley and we saw quite a structured defence. And it didn't matter what we had past the defence because nothing got through the midfield. And he's the conduit between whatever midfield and midfield defence we've got to forward lines. If Ozil's dropped and play Willock, I think we might see something different. I'm expecting a more defensive display. We have to get 3 points. We're at home. We're against Newcastle. We have to get 3 points.
And Lee, coming to you, I mean, I know we spoke a bit the other night, but me and you were both saying we really think that we could potentially see some positive performances after this Dubai break. We got Newcastle at home. The fixture's kind of set up for us, really. Do you expect to see a good performance from us on Sunday?
Yeah, I expect to see it from now on. Yeah, definitely. I think all the excuses out the window now. Unfortunately, I think Ozil's going to play again. I really do. I don't see how he can merit a place. For me, I've been liking what Danny Ceballos has been saying over the last few days. I think that he deserves a chance now to play in that role. I think that Ozil's had enough chances, and in life you have to take your chances, and unfortunately he's not. And for me, I'll be disappointed that if he is in the team lineup, but I'm pretty sure at 3:30 on Sunday afternoon, when the rain is coming down, I'm going to be disappointed because he's going to be in the team. Simple as that, And this is I'm really at this stage now going to be really looking at Mikel Arteta to see how he's going to handle this situation, because certainly Uri Emery couldn't handle it, and it's up to him now to handle it. And other people are being dropped left, right, and centre. And Pepe, for instance, was dropped and left out. So I don't understand that one. And I'm looking forward to seeing our new centre back Murray playing, because he's got to come straight into the team as far as I'm concerned. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play in the left side of our defence, and hopefully, I know what you're laughing at, Claude, and hopefully shore it up even more than what it was shored up against Burnley.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm with you there. James, we'll come to you quickly we'll go to team news in a minute, but just on the Ozil thing and the Lacazette as well, I want to bring in. What's your opinion on these two now, James? How long are we going to give them before they're dropped?
Well, I think Lacazette is suffering a crisis in confidence. I don't think it's helping. Sometimes strikers can try too hard. And the Ozil situation, we've been here before. And I support every Arsenal manager, as I always have done in the last 30 years. But there's a world of difference between being a number 2 and being a number 1. And also being in a fortunate position to interview professional players and managers on a regular basis. I was interviewed the likes of Graham Potter and Danny Cowley, as well as other managers. And they often say about continuity being a very important part of football and knowing what you need in terms of a squad. And I just think Arteta has got to be ruthless. And he's in a position where, most managers cut their teeth at a lower league club or gain experience somewhere else. And he's fortunate enough to have started out in one of the biggest clubs in English football. So he's in a privileged position in that respect. So he's got to learn quickly. If I can just elaborate on our new centre-back, as you may be aware, and viewers may be aware, he had a spell here in the Netherlands at NAC Breda, and he was made captain of that club in a very short space of time, which surprised him as well. Within a very short space of time, he was made captain by the then manager Stijn Verheven, and he was playing Eredivisie football, which is the top level here in the Netherlands. And he was a commanding centre-back and was very vocal in the back line, and he managed to help them stave off relegation. And, the manager looked at what he did beforehand at Girona and his experience in Spain. And I think that will stand him in good stead. I think he'll be able to provide a physical presence. And I agree with Ferguson Lee. We've got to, we're playing at home on Sunday. We've got to take the initiative and we've got to expect 3 points, really, in all honesty.
Yeah, and I'm with you, and I think everybody would agree with that. Really, we need 3 points. Claude, we're going to come to you next, mate, because you were laughing when Lee was talking about the centre back situation. Does Pablo Mari come into the side for you alongside David Luiz, or what would you do at the back?
It's not that I was loving it. I can't get over his glasses, mate. No. I don't know. Look, to be honest,
I'm the only one who hasn't got glasses on, by the way. You've all left me on my own. Look. Yeah, that's it.
To be honest with you, I'm encouraged by what James has just said about him. I mean,
yeah, I am as well. Yeah,
I know nothing about him at all. I did actually look about 5 minutes on YouTube tonight, and he looks like he's got a range of passing, and he does score a few. He scored a few goals as well. So I don't know. It'll be a wait and see job on that. I'm not. Sunday's game is going to be a bit of a struggle because Newcastle are going to come and pack like they normally do, aren't they? They're going to really pack the midfield, aren't they? They're going to make it very difficult for us. And I think we've got to start off very, very quick and get an early goal because it could be a long afternoon otherwise. I don't know if any of you agree with that. I mean...
Yeah, listen, I do agree with that, and I'm never confident going into a game when Arsenal are playing at the moment, Claude. I think a lot of fans would say that, but I just feel that it's a perfect time to play Newcastle. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about them. Ferg, we'll come back to you on Newcastle because, for me, they're a team who have actually done quite well under Steve Bruce. I think that Steve Bruce everyone laughed when he went there, but I think he's done an okay job. What do you make of this game, Fergus? Because Newcastle are a team that are there for the taking, in my opinion. What are we expecting to see from them?
To be honest, it's more what we expect to see from Arsenal. But from them, I expect that they'll probably have quite a strong defensive lineup. They'll try and use power and size because our team over the last few years has been quite small. What's the chap called? I'm just trying to look up his name. Saint
Maxim, yeah.
Saint Maxim, he's a powerhouse, and I worry about him giving us some problems. He gave us some problems, I think, at the beginning of the season when we played them up at St James's Park. Was that the first game of the season? I believe it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And he did run us pretty close to the wire. I think it's going to be a difficult game because I just think we are we talked about it, Lee and Dan. We talked about it when we were up north last week, and we are just a mid-table team at the minute, and unfortunately, so are they. But they've got a bit more muscle, a bit more power about them. The one thing I would like to go back to is about the Ceballos thing that Lee talked about. And Lee mentioned saying, but Ceballos in, and he's had said some good things, and he turned up for 10 minutes. Came on as a substitute, and I know Lee thought he played really, really well. I didn't think he was that impressive, but I'm actually surprised that he's actually getting some game time, because there's meant to be some argy-bargy between Arteta and Ceballos because of the Basque stroke Catalan thing. Lee, do you...
Well, I don't know. I thought he come on against Bournemouth in the FA Cup game and done really well, and they've had the chance to get rid of him in this January window. There was the opportunity, and they didn't. So, and I just like the vibes that he's doing. All I want to know is if this moment in time, I don't know whether he's going to be good enough for Arsenal this season or next season. There's only one way to find out, and that's to give him an opportunity. Let's see what he can do, and We've got to change our midfield shape and strategy, because it doesn't work. We need someone in there that's.
I agree with that. But the other thing I would say, if you're talking about what I expect for the Newcastle game as well, is I expect Leno to distribute the ball a lot quicker and a lot slicker than he did in our last game, because he was so slow, and he just compacted the game. We pushed up, they pushed in, and it was all played around the centre circle.
I'll be having a word with his girlfriend on Sunday if he doesn't. I can tell you that.
You will.
One thing I will say on the Leno thing is that until a couple of weeks ago, Leno had made the most Premier League saves until somebody overtook him, and it happens to be the Newcastle goalkeeper, Dubravka. James, one thing that we can say about this game, in my opinion, Newcastle are struggling to score goals. Joe Linton has not been great for them in terms of form. St. Maxim, has been very creative, but doesn't exactly bang them in all the time. But we're not exactly banging in a lot of goals either. So has this game got 0-0 written all over it, or do you think that we can get some form back and hit the back of the net finally?
You would like to think the latter. I think they'll line up in a 4-5-1 personally, and I think we're going to have to break them down. And if that means going on the gas and going full throttle towards the middle of the second half, for example, to push over the line to get those 3 points, and then that's what we're going to have to do. Play an important part as well, because we're only in February and it already feels like a very long season, especially with what's gone off the pitch. And obviously still being in the FA Cup and still being in the Europa League, which is going to be also difficult. You'd like to think that we can get some form going sooner rather than later and push to get across the line to get the 3 points on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to move on to a bit of the team news now, because we have touched on a few players already. I think we can all agree that Leno will probably start in goal. We've touched on the back four. Lee, do you think the back four will be Bellerin and Saka, and then in the middle, Pablo Mari and Luiz? Are you going to go with that back four, do you think?
Well, yeah, I think that Kolasinac apparently is fit again, so it'd be interesting. I don't think that Saka deserves to be dropped, whether it be left back or pushed further forward. But obviously, there's only two spots that you can go for further forward, and that's in Martinelli's position or Aubameyang, depending on where he decides to play Aubameyang, and obviously in the Mesut Ozil role, which is, listen, if that's the role he's going to play him in and feels it has a future for him, I've got no problem with that. The only reason I'm saying Danny Ceballos is because I want to see if he is good enough or not. It's up for debate. And what's the point of having somebody on loan? If you're not gonna use him, and that's my way of thinking. I think that Willock has done really well, deserves a chance, but he's pushing against probably on this game Xhaka and Torreira. I think that them two are sort of shoehorns to play. That means Quindosi is going to be left out, I think, and so I think it'd be very, very harsh on Saka if he's left out. So I think that he'll probably keep him at left back. Listen, Simon's had a great time in there at the back there. He's played really well, man of the match against Burnley, but unfortunately, we bought this central defender. He's going to be the one to improve us and all that. And don't forget, We
Is he
play
not left- Is he not
Olympiacos on Thursday.
left-footed though?
Say again, sorry.
Is Mary not left-footed?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Left-footed
So
centre.
what? You're gonna swap Louise across to the Mustafi position? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
Louise
saying?
is 2-footed. He's a top footballer, isn't he? Like, come on, you know what I mean? So
He's not-
he'll go over to the right-hand side. I think
He's
that,
not-
don't forget, you've got to also think that on Thursday we've got Olympiacos. So we've got, which, to be fair, out of the 2 games, that's massive. If you're thinking of getting in the
It's
Champions
the more
League,
important one, isn't it? Definitely.
that's going to be big. So, listen, we've got to get these boys, we've got to get this Mari up and running. Simple as that. You ain't going to buy him on loan and then not play him. Simple as that. So he's going to have to come in and Bellerin on the right hand side. That's how I would do it. You know what I mean? If Arteta has pushed for this player, that's what you've got to do. If he's not pushed for him, then Simon will be playing.
I'm a bit worried about changing the defence now, just to bring one player in when we've been doing all right. Bringing a new player in hasn't really got an understanding with the team yet. Bit of a risk, isn't it? Don't you think, boys?
Yeah, but
I know it's just a new player. He should be eased in. I don't think to put him straight in now. I think it's a bit of a risk. I don't know about you, but I thought Mustafi has been really playing well. I think it would be very harsh to just drop him just like that.
But Claude, do you not think that playing Mustafi is a risk generally anyway?
I was going to say that, yeah.
Having said all that, he's been the last few games. He's been. I know he made that mistake against Chelsea, but I thought otherwise in the whole game.
Agreed.
Listen, Pepe's been
really
playing well. Pepe's been playing well, but he still dropped.
I don't understand that. But then he seems to want to pursue with Lacazette. I don't understand that either. But I think it's a bit risky when the defence is suddenly the last couple of games has been getting its acting in place that we suddenly change it. That's all I'm saying. I think I don't know.
Yeah, I think as well.
Sorry, I was just going to say,
because we kept a clean sheet, then doesn't mean to say everything was right. Burnley should have scored a couple of goals on Saturday, Sunday.
Right,
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's completely right, but while it's still doing all right at the moment, why changing it? Why are we changing it? I thought
we've had so many forced changes. We haven't had a solid back four for about how many years?
I think he's just got to go for what he thinks is his best back four. Yeah, go for it.
Exactly. And I think that's what we've got to hope that he's done now.
If he does think that Mustafi's that man, then fair enough. Then Mustafi plays all the time. If he thinks
just to throw this guy in into the Premier League just straight away when he's not got much.
Listen, we're building for next year. If he's going to be here for next year, I want him up and running. So when he comes in, at this point,
permanently, we can't be taking charge. We're not. I'm not saying we're in danger. No, I'm not saying. But if we start losing a couple of more games, we will be in danger. I know it's Newcastle. It's only Newcastle at home, but I don't know, man. I just feel that. I think we don't need to rush this guy in, and I wouldn't really change it. I would keep the back four that played in the last game. But
fair enough.
Tierney's still 3 or 4 weeks away, isn't he?
Tierney's not fit, unfortunately, and obviously.
I know he's back training, but of course he's the shoulder's still not right yet. So I think keeping Saka there at left back and would be the right thing.
Yeah.
And Torreira and Xhaka in the middle of the park. The only thing I will change as well is possibly playing Martinelli, Pepe, and who's the other one? And Aubameyang. And giving Lacazette a bit of a rest because his confidence is not there.
I'll tell you, I'll be disappointed if he leaves out Lacazette, right, and he doesn't leave out Ozil.
Yes, I was just going to ask that. I don't need to be here tonight. I think you're all just chatting amongst yourselves, really. I was just going to say about Ozil and Lacazette. Like, what do we do with him?
I meant Ozil. I'd either put Willock or Ceballos in that position, and I would drop Ozil as well. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Sorry. Yeah, I would because I think Ozil needs to be taken out as well. Because Ozil is not. He's doing the safe thing. He's not putting that killer pass, is he? He's not. Putting that killer play. He's doing these safe little side to side passes.
Well,
He
hasn't set anyone up for about a year and a half now, has he? So he's dreadful.
It's time that he gets put, but I don't think Arteta will drop him because Arteta loves the guy. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. In terms of our front three, though, Ferg, I'll come back to you. In terms of our front three, like, what would you play? Is it time to drop Lacazette now and go with Martinelli, Pepe, and Aubameyang, or does he stick with Lacazette?
I would play Aubameyang through the centre as the best place to play him through. Martinelli, he's the best prospect that we've got on the pitch, and Pepe, as Lee said, he's not setting the world on fire, but he's definitely improving, and I think given some confidence he can go. And what I would do with Lacazette is you could bring Lacazette and on at, I don't know, with 10, 15, 20 minutes to go, if we're winning 1 or 2-0, and then build his confidence back up again. There's something going on with Lacazette. He's got stuff off pitch and on pitch that's affecting his game. And you talk about accommodating Saka. You could, if you didn't want to play Pepe, you could actually flip Martinelli round onto the other side and put Saka and play him on the wing as well. So there are options there, but I wouldn't be starting Lacazette.
Okay. James, in terms of if we are going to play a free and we go with a free in midfield, if Ozil is dropped, who comes in with Torreira and Xhaka, do you think?
Well, I think Lee makes a great point about Ceballos, because I'm also looking at it from a club's point of view. If you think of Real Madrid, they've sent him on loan expecting him to play, and they've sent him to Arsenal in order to play games. And so Arsenal have also got a responsibility to give him those games and to see how good he is, because when you bring players in, you've got to get behind them. You've got to make them feel comfortable. They've got to feel as if they're in a comfortable environment where they want to play. And I think Lee's point about Ceballos could really help us this weekend. To elaborate on another player, Saka, I saw shortly before coming online tonight that Saka is going into the last 18 months of his contract and is on about £3,000 a week.
Wow.
I really do hope that Arsenal learn from their previous mistakes and tie good young players down to long contracts to avoid having the problems that we've had in the past.
Martinelli's only on 10 grand.
I must admit, I did see that, and before I come on as well, I did see that Guendouzi is being tipped to get a big deal as well long term. So I think that they are trying to learn from their past mistakes, maybe with a new regime. Fergus,
you mentioned Guendouzi there, and I'd be interested to see what the other guys think. You talk about Ceballos and you talk about Willock playing in that hole in the there with the Ozil role. Could Guendouzi fill that gap?
I think he's more of a box-to-box player, in my opinion. And that's what I think. But listen, Guendouzi's got a bit of a problem because, as good as he is, and I love Guendouzi. I think whenever he plays, I can't believe some of the people that criticise him, if I'll be honest, because I think that he was absolutely outstanding at Bournemouth. And I didn't think he was that bad against Burnley as well. I think he's going to get better and better. But this moment in time, Saka and Xhaka, should I say, and Torreira are doing okay. You know what I mean? So he's going to fight very, very hard to get in there. And like, if you leave Torreira out, people are starting to ask questions. So for me, them two players have played really well and performed to a good level. Now, whether that level is going to take us to where we want to go, that's another debate. That's another conversation. But at this moment in time, they're playing quite well. The one position that's up for grabs, as far as I'm concerned, in the middle three, is the Ozil. I think at the moment there's only two positions up for grabs, and that's Ozil and Lacazette. That's where we've got to change things. And if you have a look at things, Claude's right what he was saying a little bit a while ago. Defensively, we're sound, but it's when we're attacking, our attacking play isn't been good enough. And we're -2 at the moment. So we need to create and score some goals. And when you've got the likes of Aubameyang, Pepe, and Martinelli up top, they need to be fed, and we're not getting that done. So those two positions are vital as far as I'm concerned, and I want to see that change.
That's why I asked about Guendouzi possibly filling that Ozil role, because him and Torreira type of overlap on occasions, and he is a ball carrier. He can bring the ball to whoever's in that Lacazette position and whatever. I don't know. I might be talking
I
absolutely out
think
of
for
my...
me, I think when it comes to it, there's three in midfield that are needed. In my opinion, the only way I can see it from Arteta's point of view is he doesn't want to keep Dani Ceballos. He knows that he's not going to stay. So if that is the case, that's why he's not playing him, because he thinks there's no point in me playing a player that's not going to be here in the summer. So if that is the case, I totally agree with him, and I'd rather give Joe Willock or Guendouzi a chance. So that's what I'll say about the Dani
So why is he
Ceballos
still
thing.
here then? That's my argument then. Exactly right. You know what I mean? They had the
He paid
chance
money.
to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And that's what I don't know. That's what I don't know. But for me, that's the only thing that's logic. Go on, Claude. Sorry, go on.
We have had to loan him out because he's not our player anyway. So someone would have had to want him on loan. So it would have been difficult to let him go anyway. And we've got to remember that Ceballos is not Arteta's player. He's Emery's player. It was Emery's. But I'm going back to this thing. I'm going back to this thing about Saka being on 18 months to go. What the hell's going on with this rail? We said that no players will be going down to under 2 years. Now we've got Saka, Aubameyang. I mean, why is this
Because he's
happening?
talking rubbish, mate. This is the problem with Raul. Everyone's got an issue with him. I know.
Yeah, well,
I don't know what's going on with that. I think the contract thing has always been a joke at the club, and I don't think it looks like changing anytime soon because we've got the Aubameyang situation. Well, really, he should be either gone in January or before then. But obviously, we're going into the summer now, and we're going to lose money out on him again. So there's all that stuff in terms of the contract. But I think the last thing I want to touch on is Martinelli, because we've got to try and keep it quite positive, because for me, there is some positive young players at this club. We've mentioned Saka. We've mentioned Guendouzi. The other one is Martinelli. We have got to be making sure, have we not, Claude, that Martinelli plays in the team, whatever, or am I wrong?
Yeah, but then again, I don't want to. There's a problem with that as well because I don't want to burn him out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he's gonna hit a dip as well. That's because of his age. He's a very young player, and we mustn't build him up too much. But he's a great talent. But you've got to remember, he's only 18 years old.
Yes.
So yeah, we've got to be very careful with him. We can't, overdo it with him. So maybe
He's just had 2 weeks rest, Cole.
No, you know what I mean, Lee. Don't do silly. You know what I mean. I'm talking about too many games. I mean, at the moment, yeah, leave him in, but there's going to be a time where
at some stage he's going to have to leave him out. Give him a little break. But at this present moment, leave him there, yeah, and give Lacazette a bit of a rest, and then in a few games when obviously he's going to hit a patch, isn't he? So then bring maybe Lacazette back in.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah, and you're right. We have got a squad, so let's use it. We are quite lucky in the fact that we have got some youth that I think is going to be exceptional talent at this club if we can keep hold of them. James, I'll come to you quick on that, because is it me, or has our youth kind of become not an option but a solution? Because we're getting to the stage where we've had some injuries, players have been out of form, we've had a lot of problems with the previous manager, with players sort of down in tools and the Xhaka situation. These young players, it's been a great season for them, hasn't it?
You fell away then, Dan. Can you repeat that, please?
Just touching on the youth, saying how fantastic they've been this season. They've become more of a solution as opposed to an option, just due to injuries and the team tactics and stuff. You agree that we've got some great youth talent coming through now at Arsenal?
Yeah, but it's really great for the fans as well, because it's been a long time where we've had a good group of young players, mature players, who have shown the passion for the shirt and wanted to take their chances. In particular, Saka, back in the middle of January, opportunities looking for. And I think he will grow as well. Martinelli as well. Even you see the attention he's getting from even European clubs as to how well he's done. And it's important to keep hold of them, tie them down to long-term deals, and have them want to play their best football for Arsenal. And it's been one of the green shoots of this season for us, and hopefully something we'll look back on in years to come and say that was a turning point in that respect.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I do. I agree. I think you're spot on in terms of our youth. I think we've got some great talent coming through. Going to move on to predictions. Lee Judges, let's start with you. What's the score going to be on Sunday, mate?
I'm going to be very positive. I think that Newcastle, let's not underestimate. I thought they've done fantastically well, but they had the FA Cup game a couple of weeks ago against who was it? Oxford, and it was like looked really good, and then went to the wire on that. And I just feel that somewhere along the line, Arsenal have got to click, whether it be in this game or the next game, they're going to click somewhere along the line. Depending on the team, I'm going for 3-0.
3-0. Very optimistic, and I love it, mate.
Why not?
Why not? Claude, what do you reckon, mate?
I'm going to say we're going to win. Maybe 2-0. I think 2-0. I just think we'll find it hard to break them down because they'll come there. I think we will. Yeah, and you've got to remember they did go to Spurs earlier this season and got a result, didn't they, by playing that way? So I think they beat them 1-0, didn't they?
They did.
They really ended really well. So it's going to be the same sort of game plan. I still think we'll win 2-0, and I'm going to go with Aubameyang for the first goal. There we go.
There we go. If you're a betting man and you fancy it,
taking a risk there, then Claude. Taking a risk with that one. Taking a risk with that one.
Well, what do you want me to say, Saka?
I'm with you. I'm going to Aubameyang. I'll get 100%. I think I'll take Aubameyang first, Martinelli second night. And that's it.
There we go. Let's hope so. James, coming to you, mate. What do you reckon the score's going to be on Sunday?
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I think we'll just get over the line. I think maybe a goal in the latter stages of the game, perhaps, but a 2-1 win of hopefully a vital 3 points for us.
Let's hope so, mate. Fergus, finally, what are you going for?
I think we'll win. With Claude, I think we'll go 2-0. Defensively, I think we've shored up an awful lot more. I wouldn't have been confident of a clean sheet 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think 2-0, who knows who's going to be first goal scorer or whatever. But it's important that we get those 3 points because we've got West Ham in a couple of weeks and we got Everton as well at home. West Ham, okay, we should hopefully get points against, but Everton aren't going to be any pushover. So it's important. We've got 13, 14 games left. We need to win 10 of those, in my view.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to go for the return fixture score. I'm going to go for a 1-0 to the Arsenal. I just think it's going to be a real hard sort of defensive game, and I think we'll just nick it. They're going to set up well. They don't seem to score many goals. We're clearly not scoring many goals, and I think we will just get over the line because we've got Aubameyang, and I expect him to get one and us to win 1-0. If, boys, we do beat Newcastle, if we do beat Everton, and if we do beat West Ham, Claude, what can we expect in the league if we win those 3 games? Are we going to get excited and start going over the top, or is the league still done?
Let's go one game at a time. No, league is. I think the league is now between. We're going to be between 10th and 6th. I think somewhere between there. I don't think we'll get any higher than 6. So there's going to be about the Europa League, and that's going to be a bit because it's a much harder competition to win this year, and maybe the FA Cup. We're running the FA Cup, but I think this season is about you've got to just in the league. You've got to just write it off and just look. Hopefully, in the summer, he assesses everything, what he's got in, what he's got to get rid of, and what he's got to bring in. And next season, let's hope we could challenge for top 4.
Yeah, I think that is right. I've always said write the league off, and I'm totally with you in terms of taking it a game at a time. But a lot of people I've spoken to,
Dan, do you write? Sorry, I'm jumping in here. I can't help.
Control, mate. You're normally used to control. That's what it is. You need to host it.
Do you write the league off? And the Europa League, as Claude said, is going to be much more difficult to try and compete and win this year. We'll probably get the quarterfinals, and after that, it's a bit of a lottery. And then you talk about the FA Cup. If we win the FA Cup, which is a possibility if it goes the right way, that drops us back into Europa League again. If we end up having a crap season, end up 10th, do we really want to be winning the FA Cup or winning? Well, the Europa League's different because we get into Champions League. But if we don't win the Europa League, do we want to be back in that competition
again?
This
is what I mean, and I've said this to Lee a few times. I honestly want to win. I want to win the Europa League. Yeah, that's my priority. Win the Europa League. which I don't think we'll do, which means I don't want to win the FA Cup and I don't want to get into the Europa League. And call me a bad fan all you want, say I'm a dreadful fan, but I don't care because I just really don't want to get into that Europa League next season. I think if we're not in the Champions League, play one game a week and then we'll see where we go in the league after that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, having said that, the FA Cup, winning the FA Cup gives a bit of confidence and it gives a bit of a lift.
Agreed.
Also, so that you can't just say that. So what, we get to the final and then you want us to lose the final? Say we play Spurs in the final. Do you want us to lose the final?
What I'm saying though, Claude, because I'm not saying that. Of course, I don't ever want us to lose a game. But what I'm saying is, overall, looking at the bigger picture, if we're not in the Europa League next season, if we're not in the Champions League next season, I don't want to be in the Europa League. Now, it's going to be hard for me to sit there and go, I want Arsenal to lose an FA Cup final. Of course I don't. But what I'm saying is that overall, for us to move forward, I would like to see us out of the Europa League because I don't think this Thursday, Sunday is doing us any problems. I also don't think that players come to Arsenal because we're in the Europa League. They don't come to Arsenal because we play Maccabi Haifa on a Thursday night at 6:00. They come to Arsenal because we're Arsenal. So I literally sit there and think, if we're not in the Champions League, let's just stay in the league, play one game a week and do what Leicester done, do what Liverpool did when if it wasn't for a Gerrard slip should have won the league, and do what Chelsea did when they were out of the Europa League and won the league under Conte. None of those teams are in the Europa League in Europe at all. Out of it completely.
It's a vicious circle, isn't it? That's what I'm trying to say.
It's a tough question.
It is, it's just.
Do you know what? Look, I'm just thinking about it. You know, like we're all hypothetical here, and if we win our next 3 games, right? But if we win those next 3 games, what we're going to have to do is look at what's happening around us. Because I can say this now: Chelsea have got Tottenham in a couple of weeks' time. They've got Manchester United. They've got a couple of real tough games. Chelsea coming up in the next couple of weeks. So if we were to win our next 3 games, and we are 2, 3. Maybe 4 points off of getting into the top 4, then we've got to go for it. You know, it's as simple as that. But you know, we've got to win those 3 games. It's no ifs, no buts, no maybes. We must win our next 3 games. They're all at home, and anything other than 9 points from those 3 games, then you know that's it. It's gone. You know, and we have to concentrate on Europa League and the FA Cup. Now, if you cannot beat those 3 teams, then you know the chances of you progressing to the final and winning the Europa League are very, very slim. You know, and so we have to get into a reality check there. I'm totally agreeing with Claude. You know, semi-final, FA Cup. You know what I mean? And we're playing Spurs. I want to beat them, and if I want to go to the final, and I want to win it. It's as simple as that. Like, and if it means being in the Europa League, then so be it. That's how I see it. And I get what everybody's saying about if we haven't got no European football, but because Liverpool done it or nearly got to it and Chelsea done it, that doesn't mean to say Arsenal are going to come out of the Europe and have a real good go at the league, because you know it just doesn't work like that.
It's all very well saying win the next 3 games. We've won 6 games all season.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, but we've been on this break. We've been on this break now.
Come on, let's put into perspective where we are.
I'm going to put it into perspective. Newcastle, West Ham, and Everton. If you're going to do anything, and we expect things to be done, you've got to start somewhere. We've got to start winning games of football. We've been on this break in Dubai where we've been working on all sorts of things and all that. Right? I'm not saying that, Claude. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if I was a betting man, I ain't going to put a lot of money. I'm going to put it's like you saying Aubameyang's going to get our first goal. You know what I mean? I'm putting the same sort of stakes on to say if we can get those 3 wins. You know, I'm not going to put my mortgage on us winning those 3 games. I'll be honest. But you know, they're at home. They're playing mid-table teams. You know, we've had 1 win this season at home against Man United under Arteta in the league. You know, if we play anything like that, then we will win those 3 games. But the trouble is with Arsenal, where they can't seem to do it and do you know what? I'm going to say this now. It's our away form that's been really letting us down. Our own form, as even under Arteta, we've played a lot better. You know, we should have probably been 2-0 up against Sheffield United. We should have beaten Chelsea if the referee had done his job properly. So there are signs that things are working a little bit better at home. And I'm going to say it on here now. We are going to win those 3 games. Let's have a bit of positivity on here.
even if we won those 3 games, mate, I mean, have we got the consistency, right, to put that? We need to qualify for this Champions League now. We'd have to win
every game.
There's 13 games.
10 games.
We'd have to win at least 10 of the last 13 games. And we haven't won.
We've only got 31 points with 25 games. Listen, Claude, I'm with you. But the reason that we got Arteta in was to change things. And I'm
I ain't going to change that. He ain't going to change that. Yeah.
Well, let's hope as somebody said the other day to me, I hope it turns out better than the last time they went to Dubai, because when they come back from Dubai last time, they was absolutely rubbish.
Well, there we go. I mean, listen, boys, in terms of top 4, the reason I feel that it is pretty much impossible is somebody asked me a question last weekend and said, if we win all of our games till the end of the season now, where will we finish? And I said 4th. And he went, yeah, I would say 4th as well. And he said, that's why I don't think we'll get 4th, because we ain't going to win all the rest of our games. James, you've been patiently waiting to say something, mate. Go on, please jump in.
I think it might sound cliche, but I think in the league we have to take one game at a time, because after 25 games, our current reading reads 1-6, drawn 13, lost 6. And we won our first 2 games of the season. As regards to Europa League, you only have to look at the teams in the last 32 with the likes of Ajax, Benfica, Inter Milan. And if you look at history in that competition, that particular competition, there is always one team that reaches the final which nobody expects. Marseille reached the final in 2018. Ajax reached the final. In the past, you had Dnipro of Ukraine also reaching the final. This is our 3rd crack of the Europa League whip. So we had a tremendous chance back in May, which we blew. You'd like to think that we will really go for this one, but it's going to be a very, very difficult ask. And also, for the big club that we are, for the rich history that we are, the fact remains that we haven't won a European trophy for 26 years. So, especially for the younger generation who don't remember what in my case, Copenhagen 94 was all about, and how special it was, not just in terms of winning a European trophy, but also winning it the way we did with those players we had. It would be nice for the next generation to understand what that means. I think Olympiacos is going to be a difficult test. We've got a very difficult team. They're like the Stellar team in Greece. They're the biggest team in Greece. I think they've won in excess of 40 championships alone. And felt that even if we was to manage to get through that, it's the luck of the draw. You never know who you're going to play. You've also got the likes of Bayer Leverkusen and Porto. So it's really, and you've got to really fight for it if we want to play Champions League football next season.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up there, mate. I really do. And I think the actual competition in the Europa League is quite difficult this year as well, with the Inter Milans. Even Man United and Wolves are very hard to beat. It's got to be said. So, you can't write those teams off. Fergus, going to come to you lastly for the last couple of minutes. Some negativity around Arsenal this season. However, the reason I feel there are some signs to be positive is we have a young head coach who I believe has brought some and installed some confidence in the team. We have a goalkeeper who I believe, I know Claude isn't 100% stuck on him, but I believe has got the potential to be good enough for Arsenal. We've got Bellerin and Tierney, who are young, hungry fullbacks. We've got William Saliba coming in, and hopefully, if the rumours are true, Upamecano in the summer. We've got Lucas Torreira, Matteo Guendouzi, Martinelli, Saka and Pepe. There are some extremely young, vibrant players at this club. What should we be more positive than we are?
There's a lot of players in there that actually I'm unsure about. Saliba, untested and untried in the Premier League, has played about 5 or 6 games in the French league. Tierney, we bought him injured, as we like to buy players. Potentially looks fantastic, and when he did have his really good game putting crosses in, he put them on a 50 pence piece into the box, and I think Lacazette scored one of his last goals the last time. Bellerin, I've never been a huge fan of Bellerin. He can run up and down the pitch, but he can't cross himself in church. Torreira, love him. doesn't get enough game time. Guendouzi, work in progress. Xhaka, no thanks. Martinelli, Willock, and some of the other players. Yeah, we will have the youngest next season. I believe we will have the youngest starting 11 in the Premier League in what we've got. And I want to pick up on the comments that will be dropping in there. James Keenan, in particular, has been saying a couple of things about that. That we've been quite negative, and us as fans are negative. We're not being negative. We're being a bit realistic. We're just among ourselves asking questions. Champions League football is going to be a big ask, and if you had to put this squad and those players that you mentioned, Dan, into a Champions League squad, where do you think they'd end up after the first round? They'd end up back in the Europa League again. So I'd like to build and build and build, even if it did mean a season out of Europe, that we can build from there, and that when we do get back into a place of challenging with Arteta, because I do believe as long as Arteta is backed, which is another huge question whether he's going to be backed, Lumpa, whatever you call him, is from what we've heard with some of the stuff that we've heard, is quite close, that we could be doing a deal with him in the summer. We should have done a deal with him last summer, but we took Pepe instead. If that comes off and we can build upon our defensive lineup, and I'd like to see us get back into Europe, but I don't think we're ready for the Champions League yet. Next season, it's exciting. It is exciting. Under Arteta, it's exciting as long as he's backed.
Okay. Lee, give me some positivity, mate.
Yeah, listen, Fergus is right. We're all just, you can only go on what's been in front of you, and as we say, like the games and the points and -2 tells you, that it's not looking good. But I'm gonna say this now. Yes, I'm gonna be. If we don't beat Newcastle on Sunday, I'm gonna be annoyed. I'm gonna be, because we're at home. But I'll be honest. I have seen improvements. Even Burnley, as poor as it was, their 2 games before that were against Chelsea and Leicester, 2 teams that everybody's saying, are going to be in the Champions League. They got beaten. Both teams got beaten. We went up there and got a draw. So there's a positive straight away. And we didn't play that well. Rode our luck a bit, but that's how it is. But what I've seen in the last few weeks, I've seen us. Listen. 3 weeks ago, on the 1st of January, nobody ever thought we was going to beat Man United. We did. We beat them,
true.
And everybody's talking about them being in the Champions League, Big positives at the moment. I know we're drawing games. I know it's disappointing, but we're unbeaten. You can look at it on from that point of view. There's games in there that we would have probably lost last season, or even this season, if I'll be honest, and there is slight improvements. I do believe that this 2 weeks where they've had a good bit of rest, they've had a lot of training sessions where it's a clever thing to do, because when you're coaching teams, there's a lot of standing around to do. So they're better off standing around with the sun in your back, with your shorts on, instead of over here with your woolly hats and snoods on. So they've done really well on that there. They've got a lot of work done, and I feel come Sunday, I'm hoping that we'll see some of that work out on the football pitch on the Emirates. And I just think that going forward, Arteta is certainly doing a better job than the results are showing at this moment in time. And, listen, if there is a chance that we can, if we win 5 or 6 games now, we're in a good position. But listen, I'm not silly enough to know that if we're going to go to Manchester City, we're going to go to teams like that, we're going to find it very, very difficult, But I go there with a little bit more confidence than I did before Arteta come in. That's the positive that I've got at this moment in time. And do you know what? I'm going to hold on to it.
Good man. Claude, what do you think?
Oh, well, Lee is very confident there, yeah. Well, I like to. The trouble is, it says we've made a lot of improvement. I think we've made a little. We've had a little. I say a little improvement. Not as much as Lee. I don't think as much as Lee thinks, but we are making little strides. But it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take time. But the The only thing is that Emery doesn't seem to think we've made improvement. Emery said that we're no better off. So I want to ask James about the I heard that Dutch player. Was it is it Ziyech?
Ziyech from Ajax.
He's agreed terms with Chelsea. Is that true over there? You know more about Dutch. What's going on in Holland?
James, is Ziyech going to Chelsea apparently?
Well, to elaborate on Ajax, news broke this evening that Hakim Ziyech will be joining Chelsea in the summer for of around 45 million. I've seen many Arsenal fans advocate the Ajax model. As someone who was originally from the UK, who's been living in Amsterdam for more than a decade, I've watched the club firsthand for more than a decade, and they have prepared for the pitch. Very young in and effect, and about teammates and the position that you play in. And the closer that young players get to the first team, they're given support from their teammate, the backroom staff. They're played in their correct position, and there's always a conveyor belt of new players going. For example, Hakim Ziyech will go, and the door will open for another young player to come through. Another player in particular who's gaining a lot of attention is Donny van der Beek. He has a lot more presence now than what he used to have. You know, he's physically gotten stronger and added goals to his game. But it's a special club, and I can understand Gooners and Gunners advocating that we should follow their model, but their model has been ingrained in their club, really. And obviously with the likes of the past with Johan Cruyff and the conveyor belt of talent with the likes of in my opinion, the greatest player to ever play for Arsenal came from Dennis Bergkamp. And if Arsenal are to go down that route, there's other things that need to be refined as well. But it could well be a good idea.
No, but I that's what I'm saying is that the sort of player I would have loved to see at the Arsenal next season. I know we were interested at one time, and it's sad to see he's going to Chelsea. But anyway, that's another thing.
Good player. Very good player, to be fair. And listen, I was actually a huge fan of that Ten Hag. I would have had him as his Arsenal manager. I wanted to see a Nagelsmann or a Ten Hag. That was one of my kind of options as a younger coach. So huge fan of that. Just quickly before we go, just going to go around. Fergus, we'll start with you. Where do you think Arsenal will finish this season in the league?
9th.
You're going to go 9th. James?
56 points maximum.
Okay, James? Can you hear me, James? Have we lost you? Where do you think Arsenal will finish in the league, mate?
My prediction I think we'll finish 8th in the league. I think it's going to. Well, I think football fans forget how much a long season actually is, how long a football season is. But I think we'll manage to get top half and hopefully one or two tries, salvage what is a disappointing season for Arsenal.
Okay. Lee Judges, what are you going for?
3rd.
I love the optimism, mate.
I'm with James. I think 8th. I think 8th probably. You know what I mean? If I'll be honest, you know what I mean. But I'm gonna ask me this after these three home games. If they've won these 3 home games, I will definitely be looking to change. But at this moment in time, what I've seen, the way we're playing, and do you know what is the biggest? It's still the biggest worry for me is that if Arteta keeps persisting with Ozil, then it would be 8th to 10th. As simple as that, you know. Simple as that.
I'm
going to go with Fergus and say 9th. Claude, what do you reckon?
Do you know what? I'm going to go about. You see where Leicester City are? How many points Leicester City are in front of us at the moment? 20?
Yeah.
How much? And Lee's always going on like cronky. How much have Leicester spent? Leicester spent.
Spent a little bit more than us this season.
No, they haven't.
How much have they spent in the last 5 years? 113 million. Arsenal spent 90 million net spend this season, mate. And there they are, 20 points in front. There's the argument. It's not down to Kroenke. It's down to the recruitment underneath it.
Well, listen, this time last season, they was in an awful position because they had a manager that was letting them down. Obviously, like Vardy was banned on the bench and all that. They changed their manager, and look what's happened to them. There's something in that as well. We've changed our manager, so why can't we be as good as them next season, if not better? And I'll tell you what, we will be.
Well, I'm just
this time next year, they will not be 20 points in front of us, Claude.
You keep going on about Kroenke. You keep going on about Kroenke. I'm just telling you.
I'll tell you something about Kroenke. I'll tell you something about Kroenke, right? I'll say this now. Jack Grealish comes available, right? Arsenal should do everything in their power to get him. Not allow him to go to Man United, not allow him to go wherever. That is the player that we've got to go and get. Worrying about someone from Ajax of 28 years of age, 40 million. Jack Grealish will turn this club around. Let's see if Kroenke puts his money where his mouth is, and let's see him if he does it. And I'll tell you what, he won. He won.
You're missing my point. You're missing my point. The point is that he has given them the money, but they haven't spent it properly. That's
whose fault's that then?
Well, that's the fault of Gazidis and all these people.
Whose reign are they under?
Who's recruiting? If I give you the money, I expect you.
Listen, you can go on about the recruitment and whatever, but also at this moment in time, I agree with you. You know what I mean? Like this Welsh has been sacked months ago. The reason he's not sacked is because we've got an owner that doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't care, so he's going to allow it to happen.
The reason he's not been sacked is they're planning for the European Super League.
Leicester City, from the title-winning side, have only got 2 players remaining in the last few years, and they've gone from 10th now to being 20 points in front of us, spending £100 million net spend. Right, we spent over double that. So how can you keep going on about Kroenke? It's the people that are buying these players. They're wasting the money.
Who do they work for, Claude? Who's in charge of them all? Who's in charge? Who's in charge of them all?
Yeah, but is everyone going on about investment? Who's giving them the money? If they wasting it, yes. I don't say he's not some fault. The thing is, if I give my kids money and they throw it away on shit, right? Is it my fault?
No. But under Uri Emery, I'll give you this then. Uri Emery last season in the summer come out and said, "I want Zaha." They didn't back him, did they, Claude? They didn't back him because he didn't get Zaha, did he? He got his apprentice. That is what I'm saying. If Arteta comes in now and says, "You know what? I want Jack Grealish," then Arsenal Football Club should do everything in their power to go and get Jack Grealish. Not go and get Tony Grealish from Brighton 20 years later. That is what I'm saying.
Kroenke gave the 70 million. Who spent that? He's given them the money, so he hasn't got the football knowledge. So he's given them the money, and they've got the football knowledge. If they spend it on Pepe instead of Zaha, what you wanted, whose fault is that?
It's Raul's for going and getting Pepe, but also now, if I was Kroenke, why is he still in the job of saying, "Well, we've had to sack a manager because he wanted Zaha"? I'm not being like, you know, at the end of the day, if you're a manager, Claude, if you come to Arsenal and you want a player,
I agree with you.
That is what I'm saying. Go and give them what they want.
Yeah, but that's not the argument. Your argument, I'm hearing the argument that the investment is not going in. But the investment is, but the people that he's working with him are not spending it in the right place. Who spent
I agree with that,
million?
so to get people in then that do.
Yeah, but who spent 35 million on Xhaka instead of paying 32 million for Kante?
People pay 50 grand for ringside seats at Tyson versus Fury. Who needs it? We got killed.
Listen, the swings around. As you know in transfers, there is always gambles. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we've overspent on Pepe. Let's get that right. We have, but we've also underspent on Martinelli. You know what I mean? So it ain't always about getting the right. I totally agree with you. It's not about how much money you spend, but get the people in there, the right people doing the right jobs. You know what I mean? And under Kroenke, he is this Raul is an absolute clown, Claude, but he's still in the job.
The trouble is, right. It's all right saying it. So we get another owner, yeah, to take his place. Remember, he owns the football club, so you've got to get someone else in. Right, get the other owner in, yeah. What's he going to do? He's going to come in. He's got all the money. He's got all the money in the world, yeah. But he has got no. Then he hasn't got no football knowledge, yeah. So then he gives that money to the people that want to like the Rails or whoever's in charge, and they waste it. So we're back to square one again. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not just about the owner.
I must admit,
listen, Claude, even Man City make mistakes. They've gone and spent 50 million on Stones. But with Manchester City, what they're doing is they're going to spend another 50 million on Laporte.
They've got football people underneath their owner. They've got football people.
So whose job is that then? Tell me whose job that is to do that.
Well, of course, yes. But what I'm trying to say to you is...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but hold on. But I'm not saying he's not got any sort of blame. But to blame it all on him is ridiculous.
I'm not blaming it all on him.
That is true. That is true. I think we can all agree that it isn't 100% Stan Kroenke, and there was a massive debate on Same Old Arsenal last week about that. I think in terms of recruitment, Claude makes a great point because we have actually got some problems there with recruitment. 100%.
Arsenal need to make. Listen, Kroenke, don't give a monkeys who it is. Kroenke, Raul, whoever, they need to make a statement in this summer and get a proper marquee signing. And that marquee signing is Grealish, right? I don't want to see him going to Man United. I don't want to see him going to Liverpool. I don't want to see him. I want to see him at Arsenal. And that is a job. And if I'm Kroenke, right, that is what, if I care and I know about football, I am telling whoever it is, that's what you're doing. And if you can't get him, you're out. That is what I'll leave it on that. That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of people in the comments saying you're both right, and I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we are both
go on,
right.
Fergus, go on.
I just think
Mashuri and Usmanov and everything.
Awful.
Yeah, I agree.
Just look at Mashuri, look at Usmanov.
But Lee, there's no guarantees. Whoever. First of all, and everyone's got to understand this. Who's got 4 billion pound to buy the geezer out anyway? I mean, the only person that can do it is the bloke from Nigeria. But is there guarantees he's not going to do the same?
This is what we don't know. This is what we don't know. And,
exactly right.
Absolutely.
You turn down the setting in that sauna. It's getting a bit steamy in there, mate.
Oh, I know,
mate. Getting hot now. Boys, we have overrun, but that was a great debate at the end there. I think we've all agreed that Stan Kroenke is to blame, but so are the people below him. I think we'll leave it at that. Guys, thank you all so much. James, thank you so much for coming on the show, mate. I really appreciate it. How can people follow you on Twitter, mate? And what sort of things can they look you up and view?
Okay, you're more than welcome anytime. People can follow me on @JamesRoweNL. You guys know, and obviously some viewers might not know, I interview professional players and managers on a regular basis, and you can find my work at worldfootballindex.com. There's a fair few interviews with former Gooners and the legend is Bob Wilson too, as well as many different professional players and managers from all over the world, and I publish quite regularly, so there really is something for everybody. Also going to the Arsenal games for a bit of a slog, but a fantastic reward, win, lose or draw. So you can follow me on @JamesRoweNL.
James, thanks so much, mate. Go and follow James. He puts absolutely amazing stuff up on Twitter, so please go and follow James. Lee, as always, mate, top man. Have you calmed down now?
Yeah, don't invite Claude back on.
Thank you, though, Lee.
No worries.
Did you bring me a bar of chocolate from where you were the other day? Oh, you brought me some chocolate.
Yeah, I've got you one. A marathon, so you can do one.
In every bar, isn't there? There's half a pint in every bar of chocolate, in there?
I've got you a dairy milk. Do you want? I shall bring that Sunday. I'll bring my dairy milk for you, like,
yeah. Right.
Top man. Fergus, thank you very much, mate.
He's probably going to get the Premier League trophy anyway.
Yeah. That's the closest I get to it.
Fergus, how can people follow you, mate, and listen to you more on podcasts, mate?
When me and Claude ain't on.
You can follow me on Guns and Ribbons on Twitter, which is Guns and Yellow Ribbons, the podcast that Lee and yourself have been on as well, Dan. I'm also Essex Gunner. North Bank, Block 5. We're always outside there having a beer. I just drink lots of beer. But if you want an alternative podcast to add to your library, Guns and Yellow Ribbons, we normally broadcast on a Wednesday night. But here we are because it's a winter break.
Absolutely. Please come over to Guns and Yellow Ribbons. You see myself, Fergus, and Lee on there as well. Claude, thank you as ever, mate. Have you enjoyed it and have you calmed down in that sauna now?
No, I'm all right. I'm always
Swedish woman in there with you.
I have to, half pint does get on my nerves now and again.
Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all so much. Claude, I'll let you say the last word because I did last time. What are you going to say to wrap it?
It's time to go!